My dear brothers and sisters, let me begin by asking you a simple but life-changing question. What are you carrying on your heart today? Is it the pain of rejection, the weight of financial struggles, the uncertainty of your future, or perhaps the wounds left by someone you trusted? Maybe it feels like your whole world is shaking. And no matter how hard you try, things just won't come together. I want you to hear me clearly today. God has not forgotten you, and He will fix your problems if you will trust Him. Sometimes the pain runs so deep that words can't even express it. Nights become longer. Mornings become heavier, and the future feels blurred. You may have prayed 1,000 times asking, Lord, when will this change? When will this storm stop? And maybe the silence of heaven made you feel like God isn't listening. But I assure you, He is listening. He has seen every tear you've cried. He has counted every sleepless night. And He has heard every whispered prayer you thought no one noticed. Beloved, the truth I want to plant deep in your soul today is this. God specializes in fixing the things you cannot fix. Your broken heart, your shattered dreams, your financial mess, your hidden fears. He has the power to put them back together in ways you could never imagine. When life throws its hardest storms at you, it often feels like the world is crashing down and everything you built is being swept away. The winds of fear, the rains of disappointment, and the floods of uncertainty can make you feel as though you are drowning with no rescue in sight. But it is in the middle of those storms that God shows His greatest power. He never promised that life would be free from trials, but He did promise that He would be with us through them. Trusting God in the storm doesn't mean the storm will immediately end. It means you are anchored to the One who controls the wind and the waves. Imagine being on a boat in the middle of a violent sea, waves crashing against the sides, the sky dark and threatening. Fear rises in your heart. But then you remember the master of the storm is on board with you. That is the assurance you need, that you are not alone in the storm. Often we look at storms as punishments or curses. But sometimes storms are divine classrooms where God teaches us to trust Him more deeply. Without the storm, we would never discover His power to calm it. Without the trial, we would never know His strength to deliver us. Think about the disciples when they were caught in a fierce storm. Jesus was right there in the boat, yet they panicked. They forgot that the same Jesus who healed the sick and raised the dead was in control of the sea. But the moment He spoke, "Peace, be still," everything changed. And I want you to know, no matter how loud your storm is right now, God can speak into it and bring perfect peace. Trusting God in the storm also means resting in His promises when everything around you seems uncertain. Fear will scream that you are finished. Doubt will whisper that God has forgotten you. But if faith declares that the storm is only temporary, you may not see the sun shining yet, but beyond the clouds, it is still there. God has a plan for your storm, and He is working it out for your good. The same storm that tries to drown you can also carry you closer to your destiny if you trust the one guiding your path. Sometimes God doesn't calm the storm immediately. Sometimes he calms his child first. He fills you with peace in the middle of chaos, gives you strength when you should be weak, and grants you hope when everything around you says it's hopeless. That peace, that strength, that hope, those are signs that God has not left you, that he is carrying you through. Remember, storms don't last forever. They come, they rage, and eventually they pass. But the lessons and the faith you gain from trusting God in the storm will last a lifetime. So no matter how fierce the winds blow or how high the waters rise, hold on to your anchor. Trust God and you will see him bring calm, deliverance, and victory. One of the hardest things for us to accept in life is God's timing. We want answers now, breakthroughs now, and doors to open immediately. Our human nature craves quick solutions, but God in his infinite wisdom does not work according to our clocks. His timing is perfect. And when he delays, it is never to deny us, but to prepare us. Every moment of waiting is a season of shaping, a divine pause where God is arranging things in the unseen realm to align perfectly for our good. What looks like a delay to us is often a setup for something greater than we imagined. We must remember that God is eternal. He sees the past, present, and future all at once. While we see only a fragment of the picture, he holds the entire masterpiece. Think of Joseph, a young man who had dreams of greatness, but was betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, and thrown into prison for a crime he didn't commit. Years went by, and it would have been easy for Joseph to believe God had forgotten him. But every day in that pit, every year in that prison was part of God's timing. When the right moment came in a single day, Joseph went from a prisoner to a prince. If God had elevated him earlier, he would not have been ready to handle the weight of leadership. But when the timing was perfect, no force in hell could stop God's plan from unfolding. That same principle applies to your life. You may be in a season of waiting right now, wondering why your prayers haven't been answered, why doors remain closed, why opportunities seem delayed. Don't mistake waiting for abandonment. God is not ignoring you. He is preparing you. The very thing you are praying for requires the right timing. If you receive it too early, it may crush you instead of bless you. But when God's timing collides with his promise, it will not only meet your need, it will exceed your expectations. We often grow weary in the waiting, but the waiting season is never wasted. It builds patience, endurance, and faith. It teaches us to rely on God more than on ourselves. Waiting strips away our dependence on our own strength and forces us to lean completely on him. And when we finally see the answer, we realize it was worth every tear, every prayer, and every long night. God's timing is not about delay. It's about perfection. Just as a seed cannot become a tree overnight, your destiny cannot unfold before it is ready. The process is necessary, and the waiting is part of the process. So instead of becoming frustrated, choose to trust that God is working, even when you cannot see it. His timing will bring you blessings without sorrow, peace without confusion, and breakthroughs without regret. When he says it is time, the doors will open, the healing will come, the miracle will manifest, and you will understand why it could not have happened any earlier or any later. Life has a way of leaving behind broken pieces, broken relationships, broken dreams, broken confidence, broken health. Sometimes it feels like everything around us is shattered beyond repair. But the powerful truth we must hold on to is that God is a master at taking what looks like a mess and turning it into a miracle. What others see as worthless, God sees as material for his glory. He does not shy away from our brokenness. He steps right into it and works through it in ways we cannot comprehend. The very areas of your life you wish to hide, the shame, the scars, the failures are often the places God chooses to display his greatest miracles. Think about it. When Jesus fed the 5,000, he didn't start with a feast. He started with a small boy's lunch of 5 loaves and 2 fish. In human eyes, it looked like nothing compared to the need. But when it was placed in the hands of Jesus, the little became more than enough. That is exactly how God works with our lives. You may look at your situation and say, it's not enough. I'm not enough. My resources are too small. My strength is too weak. But when you place it all in his hands, he multiplies it beyond imagination. He can take your shortage and make it abundant. He can take your pain and birth purpose out of it. He can take your mess and turn it into a testimony that will inspire generations. Consider the blind man who encountered Jesus. Jesus could have simply spoken healing, but instead, he stooped down, spat on the ground, mixed it with dirt, and made mud to place on the man's eyes. Out of something messy, spit and dirt, a miracle was formed. This shows us something profound. God is not repulsed by the dirt in our lives. He uses it. The very things we are ashamed of may be, the very things he uses to bring us healing and restoration. Your mess is not a barrier to God. It is the raw material for his miracle. Sometimes we feel like our past disqualifies us, like the mistakes we've made are too heavy to overcome. But let me remind you, the Bible is filled with people who had messy lives that God turned around. Moses was a murderer before he became a deliverer. David committed grave sins, yet God called him a man after his own heart. Rahab was a prostitute, yet she became part of the lineage of Jesus Christ. What does that teach us? That your mess does not disqualify you from God's miracle. It prepares the stage for it. So no matter how tangled your life may seem right now, give it to God. Hand him the pieces, the pain, the shame, and the brokenness. He is the potter and you are the clay. In his hands, nothing is wasted. He will mold it, shape it, and transform it into something beautiful. And when the miracle comes, you will know without a doubt that it was not by your own strength, but by his power alone. What was once a mess will become a testimony that tears to the world God can do the impossible. Trusting God is one of the most powerful, yet most difficult choices we can make, because true trust requires surrender. It means letting go of our own plans, our own timelines, and our own control, and placing everything in the hands of a God we cannot see, but must believe. We are wired to want answers, to want certainty, to want to know the next step before we take it. But God often asks us to move in faith without seeing the full picture. He calls us to surrender not as a sign of weakness, but as an act of strength that says, Lord, I believe your way is better than mine. When you surrender to God, you are not losing control. You are placing your life into the hands of the one who has full control. It's like a child riding in the car with their father. The child doesn't worry about directions, fuel, or traffic because they trust the one behind the wheel. In the same way, we are called to rest, to release, and to trust that God knows the road ahead even when we don't. The truth is, many of us struggle to surrender because we fear the unknown. We think if we don't hold on tightly, everything will fall apart. But holding on to control often keeps us in cycles of stress, worry, and exhaustion. We wear ourselves out trying to fix what only God can fix. But when we release it, when we put it in His hands, peace replaces anxiety, strength replaces weakness, hope replaces despair. Surrender is not defeat. Surrender is freedom. Think of Abraham. God asked him to leave his home, his family, and everything familiar to go to a land he had never seen. Abraham had no map, no details, no guarantees. All he had was a word from God, go. That is surrender. And because he obeyed, he became the father of nations. The greatest blessings in your life often come after acts of surrender. Jesus himself modeled the ultimate surrender in the Garden of Gethsemane. Facing the cross, he prayed, "Not my will, but yours be done." In that moment, Jesus showed us that surrender is not about weakness. It is about trusting the Father's plan, even when it is painful. And through that surrender, salvation was brought to the world. Maybe today you are holding on tightly to something. Your future, your finances, your relationships, your fears. God is gently whispering, let it go. Place it in my hands. Trust me. It may feel terrifying to release control, but what you cannot see is that on the other side of surrender is blessing, provision, and peace that surpasses all understanding. When you surrender to God, you are saying, Lord, I don't know how this will work out, but I trust that you do. I don't see the way, but I know you are the way. I don't understand the process, but I believe in your promise. And when you live like that, miracles begin to unfold. Because the moment you let go, God takes over. One of the greatest lies the enemy whispers into our hearts is that God has abandoned us. When life gets hard, when prayers seem unanswered, and when pain feels unbearable, the thought creeps in. Maybe God has left me. Maybe he doesn't care. But the truth of God's word is unshakable. He will never leave you. He will never forsake you. And he will never walk away from you. No matter how deep the valley, No matter how dark the night, he is right there by your side. Even when you cannot see him, even when you cannot feel him, he is closer than your very breath. We all go through seasons where God feels silent. Silence can be painful because we mistake it for absence. But silence is not absence. It is preparation. Just as a teacher is quiet during the test, God sometimes allows silence, not to punish us, but to strengthen our faith. His presence does not depend on our feelings. His presence is a promise, and his promise is eternal. I am with you always, even to the end of the age. Think about the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were thrown into a fiery furnace for refusing to bow to idols. From the outside, it looked like their end had come. But when the king looked into the flames, he saw not 3 men, but 4. The 4th looked like the Son of God. That's what happens when you go through fire. With God, he doesn't leave you outside the furnace. He walks with you inside it. And when they came out, not a hair was burned. Not even the smell of smoke was on them. God didn't abandon them in the fire, and he will not abandon you in yours. Sometimes we confuse struggles with separation, but God is most present in our weakness. He said, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness." That means the very place you feel most broken is the very place God is closest. He is carrying you when you cannot walk. He is lifting you when you cannot stand. And he is fighting for you when you cannot fight for yourself. I know it may feel lonely right now. You may look around and see people leaving, doors closing, opportunities fading. But let me assure you, God's presence is constant. People may walk away, but God stays. Circumstances may change, but his love never changes. Storms may rage, but his hand never lets go. And when you look back on your life, you will realize that in your hardest moments, it was not that God abandoned you. It was that he carried you. So remind yourself daily, I am never alone. No matter what I face, no matter how heavy the burden, God is with me. He has not forgotten me. He has not forsaken me. And he never will. His love is everlasting. His promises are true. And his presence is eternal. Trust him because he is right there, even now fixing what you cannot see. Beloved, we have walked through the storms. We have waited on God's timing. We have seen how he turns mess into miracles. We have understood the beauty of surrender. And we have been reminded that he will never abandon us. All of these truths lead us back to one unshakable reality. You can trust God and he will fix your problems. No matter how fierce the storm is right now, remember that storms do not last forever. No matter how long the waiting feels, God's timing is always perfect. No matter how messy your life looks, his hands can transform it into a testimony of grace. No matter how tight you are holding on, surrender it all and watch him release peace into your heart. And no matter how lonely the journey seems, you are never walking it alone. He is always by your side. Today is not the day to give up. Today is the day to look up. Lift your eyes from the problem and fix them on the problem. solver, wipe away your tears and whisper with faith, Lord, I trust you. Even when the answer doesn't come the way you expected, even when the process is painful, even when the outcome is delayed, trust that He is working all things together for your good. The God who opened the Red Sea, the God who raised Lazarus, the God who shut the mouths of lions, is the same God who is working in your life right now. He has not forgotten you, and He never will. Your story is not over. Your miracle is on the way. Trust Him, believe Him, and rest in Him. For the one who holds the universe also holds you, and in His hands everything broken can be fixed.